Parnasa, Shefa. Okay, so holding Baruch Aleinu, which is the bracha, the blessing that's connected to Shlomo. Something's going on over there. What? I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's not so again. I don't know. So again. Okay. Baruch Aleinu. So in the continuation of the brachas, we started off with das, because das is the opening. If you need awareness, once you have awareness, you can speak about tshuva, about changing your path. You can ask about slicha, and then about forgiveness, and then about freedom. And then once you're free, you have to make sure that your body is in order, that you have your health, healing. And now we're going to move into Baruch Aleinu, which is not only should be blessed with Parnasa, with livelihood, and that everything should be blessed, but it should be blessed with abundance. We'll see soon. It's abundance. It's not about. It's the difference between necessity and abundance. That before, when we speak about Rafeinu, which is refuah, so we can speak about Kikei Melech Reifa Nemon. We can talk about Hashem as a Reifa, as a Melech, as a king, and a king means justice. That's Midas Hadin. That Mitzvah Midas Hadin. This is a king has to take care of his people. That's part of his job, his task. Leiv Kol Yisleiv Am. So he has to make sure that they're healed. Also, a king has to take care of Parnasa, right? Make sure that everyone has a livelihood. The Gemara says in the beginning of Brachas that Amchi Sal Tzich Parnasa. They came to David HaMelech complained about Parnasa. So we see the king also has to make sure that everyone has livelihood. But here we don't mention the word Melech. We don't mention this idea of Hashem as king. But we have a new phrase that we didn't use up until now in the Bakashas. The Bakashas never used this phrase, which is Hashem Elokeinu. Baruch Aleinu, Hashem Elokeinu. We never said these words. There's Lach Lanu Avinu, there's our Father, there's our King, there's Rachamon, there's Compassionate One. We never use that phrase, Hashem Elokeinu. And it's not used again in the Bakashas. It's not used again, this phrase of Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem, our God. Hashem Elokeinu. So we have to understand what's this Hashem Elokeinu, what's it so important, and also to understand that we're talking about, on one hand, we're talking about things that it's necessity, but we're going to speak about Sabenu, which is to be saturated, to be filled, to be satiated, which is very different than a necessity. A necessity is bread and water. You can live with bread and water. Exactly, getting by versus being filled with plenty, with an abundance. So Sabenu means we should be satiated, we should be filled, which is a level of, there's a chalta v'savata, there's a level that you eat and then you become sevua, you become already filled, which is more than just the regular, just having enough, a necessity. What? Kalba sevua, exactly, kalba sevua. So sevua means already to be satiated, something that's more than that. Because there's necessities in life, and then there's things that are more than necessities, but parts of the abundance. And this is what we're asking for. This is what we're going to ask for the abundance. It says in the Rishonim, it's brought down. The Rebbe Machai writes as a Chavis Alavavas that what is the most essential need of a person? What is the most important ingredient that a person needs to live on? So obviously it's breathing, right? You can't live without breath. But the Rambam, most of the Ruchim discussed this thing. It seems like it was a thing that people Chakim used to be interested in this idea. It's not such a really relevant conversation today, but this is what is the necessity? And basically, the Rambam's version of this is whatever is cheaper. Whatever you need less money to spend, that's the proof that it's even the bigger necessity. So air is free, it's the biggest necessity. Water is, relatively free, so it's even much neater. Bread is chitim, it's cheap. So as it becomes more luxurious, it becomes more expensive. Do you need to have a private plane? I don't know. It depends who you are, I guess. But v'savata lenivra azav elo. So we can also say the same thing. But v'savata means we should be satiated. So this is something about the satiation, about being more than that. But before we get to mamish this bracha, there's something that's relevant to, particularly to Rafeinu Baruch Aleinu, which is a question of, the Gemara discusses in Rosh Hashanah that according to Chachamim, a person is nidam Rosh Hashanah, right? That a person, there's a din on Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, that's basically the din of a person for his gashmias. That Choik Yisrael hu mishmel l'kei Yaakov. There's Choik Yisrael and there's mishmel l'kei Yaakov. There's Choik Yisrael, Choik is lashon chuki, which is sustenance, physical sustenance, and then there's mishmel l'kei Yaakov. There's also a nidun. There's a judgment on your spiritual world. We spoke about this many times. The first day, Rosh, the second day, Rosh Hashanah, the Arizal. That it means that there's a judgment on your physicality and your spirituality. This happens at Rosh Hashanah. So then, why do we daven every day? So the Gemara says over there that there's different opinions when there's judgment. The Chacham say a person's the diun besides on Shabbos Yom Tov and Chinuch Banim and Talmud Torah, whatever. That's the general idea is on Rosh Hashanah. And Rabbi Yossi says that Adam nidam b'chol yom. And Rabbi Nassim says Adam nidam b'chol shah. That a person is judged every day or a person is judged every moment. So the Gemara asks, according to Akitzimari, who do we that we daven every single day and 3 times a day? And Tosfos brings it down that we daven Rafeinu Baruch Aleinu. Specifically, because Anamat Slinam, the Torah says we daven Baruch Aleinu, we daven for sustenance, we daven for refuah, even though already we were judged then. So the Gemara says first opinion is that it's according to Rabbi Yossi that Adam didn't chol yom. So that's the opinion. According to the opinion that we're judged every day, that's the opinion. Or it's actually talking according to Rabbanim. It's according to the opinion of Yitzchak that Yava Tzarka Lo'olam Ben L'fnein G'zardin Melachar. That it's always good to daven even Lachar G'zardin, even after the judgment is already made. That's the opinion of the Gemara. So the way that we read in Chazal, simply from the way the Gemara reads it, is that there's 2 separate opinions. Either you're judged every moment, every day, or once a year. But according to the Pnimius, according to the way the Pnimius out there understands this, the deeper understanding of this, that it's not really a machlokes. It's not really an argument. When it says Adanim b'chol yom and the chol shah, a person's need in Rosh Hashanah, we're talking about different types of judgments. That there's a klal judgment and a prat judgment. There's a general judgment and there's a specific judgment. So let's read a little bit from. It's actually in the middle of the packet. It's Derech Mitzvah Secha from the Tzemach Tzedek, Mitzvah Birchas Koyanim. So it's mamish in the middle, on the right column. Top it says Egla Rufa, then it says Mitzvah Birchas Koyanim. So the Tzemach Tzedek writes like this. In his Bar Mitzvah Kuvayin Dal B'Perek Vegas Akushya, Ma'u Shemavakshim B'chol Yom Rafeinu Baruch Aleinu. What does it mean that we daven every single day? We ask for refuah, for healing, and to be blessed. So a person already has the judgment of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, you following? And he's already described and written already on that, and it's not going to change. So then what are we davening for? This is the way the nidun is, the way there's a certain revealing of chesed in a spiritual realm, the way a person exists in a spiritual realm. But when it says that you'll have an abundance of this year of material wealth, well, material depends who you're talking to. If you're talking to the neshama, to the level of the soul, then material wealth is that you're going to have asagas this year. You're going to have the higher awarenesses of the presence. You're going to have dveikus. You're going to have a connection, hana, pleasure in the ray of the Shekhinah. This is already just a revealing of spiritual chesadim. But in order for this flow to come down from a spiritual realm to come down into a physical realm, this quality, the spiritual quality of kindness that was revealed on the spiritual realm needs to be reduced into many different states until it gets to a place where it becomes materialized. Until it becomes actually physical healing and blessing for the years. So what does it mean that a person is judged every single day? If a person is open to receive that from the spiritual realm into the physical or not. And that's what happens every single day. And in order for this flow to come down, there's a possibility of dinim and akava. It's possible to that there'll be hindrances and not possible for it to come down. So that we're talking about a spiritual quality in order for it to become materialized, and that's the process of it going through. This is one way of understanding it. I just want to just very quickly. It's not so relevant. I mean, everything. Well, everything is originally spiritual and then it becomes physical. No, if they say there's stalshus, means it's coming. It's.
If somebody was blessed with abundance of rochnias of a saga,
Yeah.
and he turns it over to a
No. The opposite. No, person is blessed for refuah, for healing. What healing? Healing of the guf, of the body. But in order for it to be transmitted from a spiritual realm to actually have an effect on the physical realm,
what does it mean spiritual realm?
refuah.
Refuah.
What does it mean spiritual refuah? That's what he says. You have asagas, you have clarity, you have.
That becomes the refuah zaguf?
Yeah, that becomes refuah zaguf. Not that you're blessed on the physical. You also have that.
Turns over to
No. It's just it's no. You're. I have to have a good analogy for this because it's a good question what you're asking. Let's just think about it like this. Really, on a very deep level, the whole structure. I think we spoke about this a few times. The whole structure of Seder Shtalshalos does not need to be. It's not an absolute. It's not a mechuyev mitzias to say that there's Seder Shtalshalos, that there's a whole process. In other words, there's Ein Sof. Right?
No, it is.
What? Now it is. No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in concept. In other words, in the way you could conceive. In other words, this is Ein Sof, infinity. Infinity could create finitude without a process of becoming reducing. There doesn't have to be a tzimtzum in order to be created. Elamai. There was a desire. There was a will. A desire. However we understand how this is. There was a will that it should go through a process to filtering. In other words, let's say kaviyachal, if you were a creator, how would you create? Or how do you create? Let's say you have an idea. Let's say you're a creative person. You want to write a poem. Let's say you want to write a piece of music. You want to create something. So first you have the infinite idea, the way it exists in your mind is floating. Then you have to create a tzimtzum of that idea, in contraction, and then slowly you write note by note. Right? You don't put down the whole thing in one time. Now theoretically, the koyach ein sof could put down the whole note in one shot. But because there was a desire to create this way through a process of devolution where it's being reduced, therefore there is this whole structure, this inner structure, which doesn't have to be of malachim. What does a malach do? What is the whole thing of an angel? This is why the Rambam, without talking about the Rambam very specifically, but the Rambam holds that malachim is not a metzias because of this reason, because Kadosh Baruch Hu is a nimnam nois. It doesn't need that. But in the way Chazal understand it, what is a malach? A malach is a conduit, sort of an in-between ki'ilu, between something that's completely spiritual and something that becomes physical. So in that transitional state between something that's spiritual and not yet physical, it enters into a type of creation that is created from Eish and Ruach. This is what the Ramban would say, which is like spiritual properties that don't have wind and don't have earth and water, don't have physical properties. So it exists within like some type of silhouette type of experience, not a full existence. It enters into a spirituality, enters into like this physicality that some type of ethereal type of being, and from that channel, that's the malach really is, which is a conduit. From that conduit, it becomes eventually physical. Therefore, it says that you ever heard this idea where it's brought down in Chazal also that when a person davens, the words are elevated through malachim to become that are oil HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does it mean? What do you mean? What do you mean malach? I'm talking directly to Hashem. What does it mean malach? But the idea, if we say the idea of say the ishtalshalos, which means my physical words have to be transformed into spirituality. Not that Hashem is spiritual. But if that's what if the mechanism is, I have to cause a transformation on the spiritual mechanism of the creation, on the meta universe or the meta creation, then it can have an effect on the physical creation. It has to enter that board. In order to enter that board, it goes through the malach. So the malach refines the words, right? Takes those words and channels it, and it becomes now spirituality. It enters into the meta board, and then it can be brought down. So just like it goes up, it just simply has to go down. So every quality is going up and has to go down. If it has to go down, it can get stuck, which means the koyach the chesed is I'm channeling chesed to this person. Okay, you activated a certain let's just use a mashal gash. You activated a certain part of the board that will now start shining. It will activate something that will draw down to your life. But in order to get there, there's like a whole system how to get there. It's possible to get stuck, which means it stays, just remains aloof in a certain place, and it doesn't yet penetrate the lower. This is what he says. The chesed is going to be revealed. It's a klal. But the chesed in the prat, in the details, in your specific life, every single day, you have to align yourself. This is what zichuch means. This is what it really means refining is. It's not like I'm doing something. Zichuch means I'm refining myself to get aligned with the shefa that has to come down to me. And today I align myself correctly. Therefore, the shefa is coming down, and it's going to penetrate all through me. And by the way, the ikuvim, what the Arizal talks about these ikuvim, these blockages or these klippas, what the Arizal talks about them at a very abstract level, the Baal Shem, not here, but the Baal Shem would say that these are abstractions within your own consciousness. Like if a person's depressed, or a person's not open to receive it, or a person doesn't feel blessed, etc., you're blocking the shefa to get into yourself. You have to align yourself with that shefa. Therefore, it has to be. So Baruch, okay, if you're talking about Baruch Aleinu, which we're talking about is Baruch Aleinu Hashanah means like we said before about all the brachas, it's the sense of the experience of Baruch Aleinu. We're not talking about Baruch Aleinu Hashem, you should bless us. Baruch Aleinu means just like I want to feel healed, and I want to feel redeemed, and I want to feel blessed, right? And the way I enter to feel blessed is by feeling blessed, and I'm aligning my own blessing to the blessing. This is the Baruch Aleinu. I have to feel this Baruch Hashem. I have to feel that blessing. So this is the system. If you look at the first Ma'amar Komis, it's not so negea to, but it does very, very quickly. I'll just tell you what it says over here. You can read it yourself. The first one is the Beis Elokim from the Mabit, for Moshe Mitrani, which is one of the Gedolim that lived in the times of the Beis Yosef in Svas. And he wrote a sefer called Beis Elokim. Which was Mabit is a very famous. He's also Bar Plukta of the Beis Yosef. It brings down he starts off with the Binyan Tfilos Atzir B'Nishmas Tamid. He says that Ken Kel Kaber L'Yimos, that a Tfilos Rabbim is always. This is the first page. Ken Kel Rabbim is always being heard. So he has a bunch of answers how this actually works. How does it actually work? You see that people daven for something, and they're not. It doesn't change. The person davens to be healed, and necessarily, God forbid, a person pass on. So he has like Tam Rishon, Tam Beis, Tam Gimel, that it's like compacted. That you every generation that davens, you're creating that channel, and finally it opens up in the channels. But every generation is creating the channel. Or the last one is on the end of the page, and on this left column, it's a personal gula. It means that if you're daving for redemption, you're experiencing gula pratis. He doesn't talk about gula pratis like the Baal Shem talks about it, which is inner gula, inner redemption, but literally in galus, there's a type of redemption. The Shalom Kaddish brings down this mabit in the next page, and he brings down Hinka Kabbalah Yimas Yanu Resjene Kain. I feel Yuchad Kavul Lachol Yisrael Mispalim Kam Kim Chol Yom Kam Brachas B'Tzilos B'Yam Reinu Kam Shayf Hashiv V'Tein V'Shalayim V'Samach Kol Shleish B'Cham the Dain Lo Nishan Magalas. That's the question, right? You daven all these times, many times throughout the day, and it's not happening. So he says it's Me'ein Agula. So if you're daving for refuah, a gula, like in the third to the bottom line, he says it's me'ein gula. You get like a glimmer of that type of redemptive experience. And then he says on the next page that it's When it says that it's niskabel l'mayla, it says that it's received and it's heard, doesn't mean that it's answered. It means that it's heard. It's very different than being answered. When you say something is heard, which is, by the way, a very, very important part of the experience, right? When you say I want to be heard, that's actually 90% of the healing. It's just being heard. I want to know that if I'm suffering, I'm being heard. Not necessarily, just like a person is suffering. Let's say, God forbid, a person has an issue, right? And he speaks to this friend of his. 90% of the is it's just a listening process, not necessarily giving the solution to that, right? Just the fact that you can unburden yourself to someone else. So I want to hear. This is later we're going to talk about Shema Kelenu. Shema Kelenu means listen to us. I want to know that I was heard. That's it. I want. Yeah, we're talking about Ray. Yeah, it's even deeper. Yeah, Ray is even deeper. Ray is actually, I want to be aware that I'm being seen. Right, being seen and being heard. Correct. That's the same idea. And then the next Maramakim is for the Degel B'Shem the Baal Shem.
Is it only when it's Tzibur?
No, he's answering the question. No, he's answering the question why every tefillah is miskabel. No, by the way, this is the guy that the Mabit and the Shalom Kadosh talk about tefillas b'tzibur, but later Svarim it speaks about even tefillas yachid. Because when you say Shema Kelenu, the same Svara, you say Shema Kelenu Hashem Elokeinu, and it's not a bracha levatala, so you must say Shema Kelenu. So what is that? So it's kabel. It's the same. It will go with the same halach. Over here, you just have this vart that the Tzemach Tzedek brought down in the Derech Tzedek. Really, is brought down already in the Baal Shem. You see, he brings up sometimes the tefillah is only nena b'tefillah sogyonim. That's what really Tzemach Tzedek is explaining this shtickle from this shtickle. Okay. Okay, so let's start with Baruch Aleinu. This is in general. And here we have to go a little bit more detail in the Baruch Aleinu. So just a few things before we get mamish into this. That we said at the same Medrash in the beginning that the Medrash says that it's connected to a certain event in the Torah, right? So Rafeinu would have to do with we spoke about the Avram and the Bris. So this has to do with Yitzchak. Is a Yitzchak that Yitzchak was Zera, and then it came out 100 times more. This is when the Malachim said this bracha, Baruch Aleinu. So you see already that it wasn't a blessing just for necessity, but it was an abundance, like Yitzchak, right? So it was a bracha that had multiple times the bracha. So this,
goes to what Amidah was saying, one of his answers, which is that every generation is opening up a channel.
yeah. So
here Yitzchak opened up a channel which we're all still working with.
okay, yeah, for sure. I mean that's yeah. But we opened the channel of Avram also opens up. Oh, yeah. You mean the channel of bracha from Parnasa? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It also has to do. That's the idea.
Why is it that the Malachim are saying the bracha as opposed to the person like Yitzchak or Yaakov or whoever it was?
No, they're observing the experience and they're saying what it is. How do we go to this? Okay, let's go straight into this other shtickle. We're going to get back because there's a lot of things that has to do with how many words there are and Baruch. Okay, so Baruch Aleinu, the word Baruch, which is bracha. Bracha is, again, we also spoke about this right in the beginning, that bracha also comes from the word lahavrich, which means to make a connection. That, in general, the idea of bracha is, the difference between a bracha and a tefillah, a blessing and a prayer, and a tefillah is, that bracha is that you're mamshich something that already exists, and tefillah is yihiratzon, you're creating a new desire, a new ratzon of Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's very different, because bracha, the famous thing is with Yaakov benching Menashe and Ephraim, so he covers his hands. So the obvious question is, so let him give the bracha to Ephraim, to Menashe, to be bigger than Ephraim, because he's not giving a tefillah. He's saying a bracha. He's saying, this is the Messias. I see your character. This is what a bracha means. A bracha means I recognize your potential, and I'm investing you with the koyach to reveal your potential. So your potential is Ephraim, your potential is Menashe. So bracha has the quality of lahavrik. You're drawing, what a real bracha is, to take the person's potential and to draw it out. So it's limited. Exactly. It's limited by the potential. This is baruch. So on one hand, baruch is limited by potential, but this is a very unusual bracha because it's coming within the context of tefillah. So you're saying Baruch Aleinu Hashanah Azois, but you're actually davening for Baruch Aleinu Hashanah Azois, which means the concept of bakashas, which is tefillah. So if you're davening for it, you're having both milas. In other words, you're saying it should be Yehir Atzon, it should be a schachas harashon, it should be a new desire of a new source, but it should be in a way that it's absolute. It's just about bringing that from the actual to the potential. So that's the mile of the baruch. And where do you say that? Baruch is Beis Reish Chaf as well. And if you notice, Beis Reish Chaf is twos. They're all the twos of the Torah. Beis is 2, and Reish is 200, and Chaf is 20, which means what you're saying, you're drawing down from the place of the potential, or the achdus, if you want to use it, or to use it somewhat tzedek, like oil masal yonim, and you're actually drawing it down into the world of duality. That's what the idea of baruch is. You're drawing it down into this. The word habracha, the word to bless, is actually 232. Is the gematria 232. 232 is the milui of Shem Av Sag Mam Ban, right? So if you take the names of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud is always spelled Yud Vav Dalet, always. So Yud Vav Dalet is always 20. But if you fill out the milui, if you fill it out with the Yud, which is Hey Yud, then Vav Yud Vav, and then Hey Yud, you will get to 72, right? Hey Yud is 15, 15 is another 15, and Yud Vav is 22, so that's 72. If you do the milui with Hey Yud and Hey Yud, but the Vav, you do Vav Aleph Vav, you get the 62, which is same Sag. If you do the milui with the Alephs, which is Hey Aleph, Vav Aleph, Vav Hey Aleph, it's 45. And if you do the milui Hey, it's Ban, which is 52. Incidentally, all of them are 9. They're all 9, this is the 9th bracha. So Baruch Aleinu is the 9th bracha, right? Now the Gemara says Megillah, reason the Gemara says, So really, you should really ask a question when you say Av Sag Mam Ban. These are the 4 names. They correspond to Atzilus B'Yitzia Asiyah, but also correspond to Naim is Naim. That's the 4, and the Chaytim Ped. It's the four parts of the body. But if the numberings actually doesn't make sense because Av is the highest. It's Chachma, so it's 72. Sag is Bina, is 63. Ma is Zohar Ampin, is 45, and Ban is Malchus. But really, it should be the other way around. Ban should be Zohar Ampin because it's 52, which is a higher number, and then 45 is a lower number. If you're following the numbers, then it's 72, 63, 52, and then 45. Why is Ma higher than Ban? And the answer is because Ban is really not Nab. That's how you get to 9. If you did, Av is Ayin Beis, Samach Gimel, Mem He, which is the way you spell a number. Ban is not spelled Nun Beis, it spells Beis Nun. Why is it spelled Beis Nun? Because it's spelled with a final Nun. It's not Nun Beis, but it's Beis En Nun. En Nun is 700 in the Mansapach. So if you get to 700, then you have Ban, you get 9. Okay, I'm just saying this is the reason why it's brought down as fun. This is a serious thing.
And the adds what on each letter?
No. You instead of saying Nab, you're calling it Ban, and if you have Ban, you have 9. So you always get the. You're always getting the number 9 because 9 is the Midas Emes, and 9 is also. Okay, this is a little way to funny. There's how many words are there in this bracha in the Nusach Harari according to this Alter Rebbe? So Baruch Aleinu, when it's in the summer, which is the same bracha, is 36. 36 is Be'emes 9, right? 3 and 6 is 9. The 9 is also the first. There's a Messiah from the Gra, the Chavik brings it down. Also, the Bnei Yissaschar brings it down separate Messiah, that the first time the first letter appears in the Torah, that's the shayrish of that idea. Where's the first time the ois tes appear in the Torah? Tes is 9. Is v'hinei toiv. Toiv is the first time the letter appears. The Bnei Yissaschar writes on the letter toiv on tes. Normally a tes has three tagim. The tes over here has 4 tagim. The original tes of the Torah. If it has 4 tagim, 4 times 9 is 36. So it's meramas to the 36, and that's why it's the Oiragonos. That's the tes. That's what the Zohar Kodesh also writes. The Zohar writes the tes is a benton letter because it represents the Oiragonos. Tes is also the most mysterious letter in the Torah because it never appears. It's the least letter that appears in the Torah. It's the least familiar letter in the Torah. The least letter that appears, it represents the Torah Oiragonos. But it represents the word toiv. So tes is connected to toiv. Now toiv, we speak about it here. This is clearly a bracha about toiv, about the quality of toiv. So we have to talk about what the quality of toiv is. But this is the quality that we're talking about. The quality of toiv. The quality of goodness is the quality connected with number 9. Okay. One more small piece. Now we'll go a little further. What there's a Yafim shtickle from Pinchas Karitzer here that. Pinchas Karitzer writes in Yud Zayin, B'Shem Rav Shai Mazim Mo'il Ispal Parnasa, Ki Parnasa Gematria. This Parnasa is the same Gematria as Neshama. Okay, this is a nice word. The Gematria is about Neshama. We have to understand what this is. It's a nice pshat. Okay, it's a nice word. We have to understand what this is. But the simple thing is, there's a word from Rabbinim, which is very appropriate. Rabbinim says that if a person davens for Gashmias, and if a person davens only for Ruchnias and doesn't daven for Gashmias, that's a raya, it's proof that he doesn't actually daven for Ruchnias either. Why? Because if a person davens, why is a person daven for Ruchnias? A person davens for Ruchnias, means a person should have Clarkite, he should have open mind, expanded mind, he should have Menuchas HaNefesh. That's what a person does. Why? Because a person feels that with Ruchnias, every single day is a new challenge. Every single day you're trying to reach a place. Okay, so you have new struggles every day, so you have to daven. Gashmias, a person has a job. Okay, why should I daven? I have a 9 to 5 job, or I have good investments. I read the book, and everything's I'm investing very well. What do I need to daven? So Parnasa, you think that I don't need Eibishter. That's you could think. So he said, if you don't daven for Parnasa, it's all right. You're not daven. If you don't think that Parnasa is Mischadish B'chol Yom, that every single day you need a bracha for Parnasa, then it shows that you didn't also daven for the Ruchnis. It means that if our relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in a way that I think it as is us, because that's the way it was yesterday, then it's not a living relationship. There's an oimik to this. We'll get a little bit further what this is, but this is a very big oimik of how we think about Parnasa and how do we draw down Parnasa. But then there's even a stranger saying by the Pinchas Karitzer. Strange, and you could call it heresy if it wasn't their Pinchas Karitzer saying this. But read the words. I didn't make this up. You have to understand what he says. He says that a person should mechavan Parnasa Shem Shindalad Yud. Okay, Shem Shakai. Shachal by Ovis. Okay, Shakai. Gam b'pamad hiskel l'spal Parnasa ki Parnasa hu Hashem Yizborach ba'atzmoi. Oh, this is what we have to understand. Ki Parnasa. Hashem Yizborach hu Parnasa ba'atzmoi. Hashem Yizborach is Parnasa. Parnasa is Hashem Yizborach. Okay, so there's Mafteich Shabbat Parnasa. There's also other Mafteches. There's Mafteches Shechaya. There's 3 Mafteches. Okay, but so Taka, you have a good question. What does that actually mean? What does it actually mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem Yizborach hu Parnasa? Parnasa. That's already a version of that. Yeah, that could be a version of that. But I think the Zaymik is like this. The word is like this. You keep on saying in this bracha. You say we said Hashem Elokeinu. We say Toiv Umeitiv, the idea of Toiv. There's a Toiv. What's the Toiv? So let's think like this. It's very hard to have a conversation about Hashem Yizborach. What is Hashem Yizborach? But this is, by the way, this is a Torah that really comes from the Baal Shem. The Baal Shem Mamash says this. But you have to tease it out. You have to be a Pinchas Karetz to see this in the entire Baal Shem. But it's clear from the Baal Shem. Without getting into, anthropomorphizing or trying to make this literal, the Boira, the creator, right? The one Hagdara we can say, if you say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is I don't know, is a Rachman. Okay, how do you know? I don't know. I'm talking about Rachmanis, compassion. You'll have to say, okay, it says in Chazal, it says in the Torah. Okay, you'll have to. It's part of an Amunah piece. I guess you do need to say this Amunah also, but if you look at the Bria and you say there's a Boira, so the one thing you could say about HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that he's a Boira. In other words, without any Sifrei Soid, if there was never Sefer Soid was ever printed, and you looked at the world and you were just a frum Jew, you looked at the world and you're a mom in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What are you miming in? Of course, you're miming in Tzis Mitzrayim, you're miming everything. But if you look at the world, what are you miming? There's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's a Boira. That the Boira is, and why was there a Bria? The reason why there's a Bria is because Teva Tov Lahetiv. Teva Tov is like, huh? What's going on? What?
Says who? It's also a Teva.
Yeah, but that's a Teva that you see. In other words, if you see a person, let's say you see a person feeding his child, right? You don't know anything else. You just see that this person is feeding his child. I say, I can't tell you what type of character it is. I just know one thing, he's a feeder.
But if it's a creator, it doesn't mean it's later.
No.
Children are not good.
I'm not. You're giving good. You're saying the word good as a quality. I'm not saying good versus bad. Good means to be mashpia. That's it. You want to say person mashpia. That's already the concept of a mashpia. The one hagdara, in another way of saying it, the one word we can describe the koyach that's creating everything is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a mashpia shefa. That's what. So when the Gemara says that what's HaKadosh Baruch Hu doing since the creation, that is Michael, ad Karnei Reim. There's because that's what the world is being sustained. That's what the world is doing to itself. Okay, simultaneously being self-destructive, but the concept of creation is a furtherance, is shefa. You're following? So where do you see shefa? Shefa, this idea of flow and movement and furthering, if something is just being sustained into its existence, you don't see the shefa, because that's the makayim. If a person is instead of being sick, they're healed. Okay. Being healed, being healthy, is a priority. This is what you have to be. If you're sick, it's a defect. It's a cheser. The proper state is to be in a healed state. You're following? That's not extra. That's midas hadin. If you're a creator, you sustain. The fact that there's a hashpa in this world, a shefa, which means there's abundance. The world of abundance is the expression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem Yisbarach Hu Parnasa means Parnasa means to everything. Parnasa is Parnasa to a person, Parnasa to the cow, Parnasa to the tree, whatever the thing needs. Where there's an expression of shefa, of sustenance, and in an abundant way, that is where there's a gilui of Hashem Yisbarach. The gilui of the koyach haliki, that's shefeya, and his boyer, the bria, and his shefeya mashpia toiv. Not toiv as a quality, toiv as a furtherance. Toiv is not a quality of good. We think toiv is good, but it's not really true. When the pasuk says v'hinei toiv, means that it's functional. It's proper. It's doing its intention. That's why it says that, when the bracha of atoiv meitiv is when there was chazara of the mesim of haruge beitar, when they return back to their place, when everything is functioning in their correct way. When there's the hatava, vativa saneris, right? Vativa saneris is I'm making it this correct functioning. But there's also within this idea of toiv is there's a movement forward. The world is continuously progressing. There's a progression of this world. Creation is moving forward. Now, sometimes it slips back, but in general, if you look at the world from the Olam HaYichud, not from Hagas HaMishpat, but from Hagas HaYichud, from the world of Yichud, the world is always getting towards Mashiach, which means the world is refining itself. It's moving, it's furthering itself. It's being nishpa from the Parnasa from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The world is moving into the abundance. And this is the oimik what he's saying. Ki Parnasa, who Hashem is Baruch Ba'atzeh, means that. So what is Parnasa really? So when you look at Parnasa, you can say, what is Parnasa? Parnasa means I have physical sustenance. No. Parnasa means that I am connected to the mashpia. That's what really Parnasa means. When a person says, Baruch Aleinu Hashem Hazais, let's go to the bracha. You're saying, Baruch Aleinu Hashem Elokeinu. Why are you saying Hashem Elokeinu? Because Hashem Elokeinu is the boira. That's why the word bracha actually appears 7 times, which is connected to the bria.
Zeus also.
What?
When you're saying Zeus,
Is-
like...
It's correct. Where's it?
It's partial, meaning
Yeah,
like
you mean
it's not Zeus.
correct. You mean direct.
Yeah, meaning like we're looking at it right now. It's in
Correct. So right now, Hashem Elokeinu is the boira. We're talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu as the boira, as the creator. Bereshis bar Elokim, as the Elokim as creator. Now it also means you'll see the Shpa has to come down that begashmi. So Elokeinu is also midas adin. But the Baruch Aleinu Hashem Elokeinu means that the Hashem as Elokeinu, as the boira, is the Baruch Aleinu. Now we say saying al pnei adama v'sabeinu mituvecha or mituvai. So there's 2 gersayos, right? One is mituvecha, sabeinu tuvecha, sabeinu mituva. This is different gersayos. The Shalom HaKadosh says that you should. The nusach of the Alter Rebbe is mituvecha. The Shalom HaKadosh says you should do, if you're in the city, you should say mituvai. We'll see soon. And if you're b'derech, you should say mituvecha. Huh? I don't know, it's a good shiloh. So that's why you always say mituvecha. But if you really think about mituvecha, what's mituvecha? You say, Baruch Aleinu Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Hazois, we'll say we'll get what these words mean. Then it says, Al Pnei Adam, V'sabeinu mituvecha. And you should saturate us, and you should sustain us from your goodness. What does it have to do with each other? I'm saying, Baruch Aleinu Hashem, you should bless the trees, you should bless the year, it should be an abundance in the year, and I should be saturated from you. I said, you just said that the world should be saturated. That they should have a Baruch Aleinu Hashem, as I said, the world should be a year of plenty. So Sabenu is metuva from the earth, from the ground. That would be consistent, right? Baruch Aleinu Hashem, as I said, it's common in and the same bracha pnei Adamo, Sabenu metuva. Then you should bless the year. That would make more sense. So how do you say V'sabeinu mituvecha? How does it actually work linguistically? When I'm saying that you should bless the new year, you should bless. Hashanah, this means now. The Hashanah is the Shunuim, all the changes. Every transition should be blessed. I should feel the blessing in every transition. It should be blessed this year. It should be an abundance of the year. And I should be satiated from you, from your goodness. Satiated for your goodness. But I'm talking about the object. I'm talking about the plant. I'm saying that the tree should have a lot of fruit this year. And then I'm saying I should be satiated from you. Elamai, what's the answer? The answer is that I'm not looking at the tree as the tree. If I look at the tree as a tree, and I say I'm getting sustenance from the tree, then I'm not connected to the shefa. I'm connected to the tree, which is a hagdara of the shefa. That's already a magdir, as a certain definition, that how do I get the shefa? From this apple. I don't want the apple. That's not what I want, right? The moment I separate the apple from the apple maker, then I'm not going to have real savia. I'm not going to be satiated. Why am I not going to have satiated? Because the definition of the creation is that it's a cheser that's constantly being filled. So if I'm eating from the world of cheser, from absence, and it's constantly being filled, I'm never going to be filled full. Right? That's the definition of eating. That's why Bet Rishayim is never mole. That's a tzaddik oichel l'soiv nafshe. A tzaddik eats dafeh because he's satiated. Because it's v'chalta v'savata v'irachta. Most people translate it. V'chalta yishit. V'savata, you should be satiated, and then v'irachta, you should make a blessing. But the truth is, it actually means reverse. V'chalta v'barachta v'savata. V'chalta v'savata v'irachta. When you're going to make a bracha, then you're going to be v'savata. V'chalta, you're going to eat. But how do you know if you can satiated? If you can make a bracha, then you can be satiated. You understand? It's a loop. Because satiation, or sense of being filled, can only come from the source of filling, only from the makar. I can't be filled from the makabel. I have to from the receiver, because by definition the receiver is something that is cheser. I can only be filled by the mashbiah. So v'sabeinu is mituvecha. I must be v'sabeinu mituvecha, because I can't have sevilla You can't have savua from the thing in itself. You following? So this is the oimek of Parnasa is. Parnasa is that I want to feel the abundance of the shefa that comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Parnasa, and I want to be, I always mean connected to that, I want to feel it. I want to walk around, let's say if you're talking about what the experience is, I want to walk around this world and feel satiated with the lakus, with the makar of the shefa, and therefore I become a mashbiach. Of course, lacherim. But if I want to feel that I live in the world of abundance, the world of plenty, because I'm connected to the source of the abundance and the source of the plenty. You understand? That's Sabeinu Tedecha. Go to the last page.
But it ultimately has the source, meaning like there's a Orchaim on it says in Kesef Talvazami,
Yeah.
brings in the filter that says when it says in,
Yeah.
it's always saying if.
Right.
Except for this pasuk.
Right.
But it's saying in, if you're of someone that has more money than you need, that money doesn't belong to you, and people are going to come to you to get their money. What's the shot? Because on Rosh Hashanah, each of us are allotted a certain amount of money.
Right.
And if we do something that is against Hashem during the year, it's not that Hashem takes it away. He takes away the direct
The possibility of being a mashbiach.
directly from it, and then
All right.
you have to go to someone else.
Right. That's exactly the word.
So you're asking here in this bracha to revert.
Correct.
back to
That's
that
exactly
Rosh
the same
Hashanah.
word. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. I don't want it to be a middleman.
There's no middle.
Because if the moment I attach myself to a middle man or to a middle object, I'm never satiated. Because by definition, the middle is a middle, right? By definition, it's not the source. And it's not the source, it's not giving me plenty. It's always the source. I want to be connected to the source. If I'm not connected to the source, I always feel empty. That's the definition of not being. That's why you're an ani. You are an ani because you have to go borrow. You lost the source. You lost connection to the source. Okay, here's a word from the Baal Shem. The Baal Shem writes. Where's this shtickle over here? Oh, Baruch Hashem B'Hashem B'Tachoi. Let's read this. I don't know. We have that much time, but Zeh Toichen Dvorav. A person Baruch Hashem. A person has to be B'Tachin in Hashem. It's second to the last page on the right, on the left right column, the left side, the degel. Yeah. Bottom left column. So he's quoting from the Baal Shem. Baruch Hashem, the pasuk says, blesses a person that has betachin in Hashem. V'hoy Hashem betachin, and Hashem will be his source of betachin. So it's redundant. Baruch Hashem yiftu b'Hashem. A person has betachin Hashem. V'hoy Hashem betachin. You just said that. Baruch Hashem yiftu b'Hashem. A person has betachin Hashem. What's v'hoy Hashem betachin? And Hashem should be his betachin, his source of trust. Zeh toichen dvar. Ki yesh boiteach umaftiach umuftach. There's a boiteach, the person that has the trust. There's a maftiach, the person that you're trusting in. And a muftach, there's the object through which the trust is coming through. Beteach hainu oisa shu beteach. That's the person, man. You're the beteach. You're the truster. Umaftiach hainu shu maftiach, which is the maftiach. Who's the maftiach? It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah. Muftach hainu oisa ilo shayidei zeu betuach lavi oisa davar. Muftach is the object through which you have been talking through. Hu derech mashal. Hashem is Baruch Hu maftiach la'adam. Hashem is the maftiach to a person. Shiyid l'kol tzarachav. V'day machzei shayach saloi. Afilu sus l'reichav alav. That's the betachim. Betachim is Hashem will give you everything you need and more some. V'adam hu ha'betech b'zeh. And a person has trust in this. Muftach haynu shu betech sh'Hashem yazma b'vadei parnasasei. And you're muftach that Hashem will find a way to reach parnasa. Asar chilul zeh sheyisiv b'meis Hashem yizbarach sheyidat parnasa masa matan ashar davar. So you'll do masa matan, you'll do yisparnis, or you'll have like a job, or you'll do masa matan, you'll do like some type of peddling or something, and then you'll make a parnasa. Va'adam kazad dain lo yigil lamuna ikris. This person didn't yet reach the highest level of munah. What do you mean munah? He's a b'teich Hashem. The guy has a store, and he says Hashem is giving me a bracha that I should have this store and I should be successful. And every moment I'm thinking that Hashem is giving me the bracha and be selling apples. Not the highest level of munah. Why? Ki ikal ham Hashem shehu levadehu. The main thing is to believe in the source. Shehu levadu ve'en bilase. She'ein etzarich l'shum ilah. Hashem doesn't need a cause. V'siba shayodin nimshcha parnasasei. Hashem doesn't need any type of intermediary through which the parnasa the livelihood should get to you. Ki ilas kol ilas. V'siba kol sibas. ואפילו שלא יעשה שום עילה או מעשה מתן ושום הכנה לפרנסה, השם יוכל להזם לפרנסה בחסדי הגדול. Hashem, who decided that if you're going to go to Wall Street, you're going to make money? We'll see a second. It's not against the Shtadlis. He's not saying that. Just let's start with the first step. He's saying, who said you decided that you read the book and this is where you're going to invest and you're going to make a lot of money? And maybe Shostaki give you a lot of bracha. This is where you should have a lot of money. But you're Beiteach in Hashem. But the muftach, the intermediary, is a process. I'm believing in process. I'm not believing in source. I believe that the source will give me blessing through the process, but I believe in the process. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do this, but he's saying this is not yet the highest level. So what's the higher level? Baruch Hashem. A person should trust in the source. And Hashem should be the bitachon. Haina hamuftach shaloi. She gam kein Hashem rak shehu levadehu vein shadav shum nedusil b'nasei. Oy l'shaydav shayal yigmar dav shum avtiach loy. Shein tzich shadav shum achad shiyam ilu v'sibah. V'kol rak nizbarich. Everything's only Hashem. And so what does it mean you shouldn't do anything? So he says, okay, even if you do have something, because you're doing something, you should be mammon, not that it's a job and this is what's going to make me money, it's Hashem. Going back to the Torah of the Pinchas Karatzer, Parnasa HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's Hashem. Hashem wants to be mashpia. Hashem wants to be mefarnas you, give you through the selling apples. There's no, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be this way, it could be that way. So where's my trust? Or where's my connection? My connection, exactly. And what is that? That is to the Koyach Ein Sof. What's the Koyach Ein Sof? This infinite Koyach. Then he's giving Koyach. That's Mashpia. That's a Shefa. That's connected to everything. That's connected to. I do this and I do that and I do this other job. Fine. That's a Hechetimsa. That says I need to do something. So I do this or do that.
Why do you need to do something?
You don't. Doesn't say you have to. Maybe you should be busy. You shouldn't stay out of trouble. I don't know. You know, I would say, yeah, exactly. I would say, maybe it's a deeper level to realize that it's a bigger madrega to make $1 billion through your own initiative and still have that emunah than to win a lottery. Because you win a lottery, you didn't do anything. But if I could work for it, and I know that whatever I'm doing, I'm connected only to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that wants to give me sabeinu mutuvecha, to be satiated. That's it. It's only the source. And that's what I'm connected to. Then whatever I'm doing, I'm always going to be that state.
So why do we need a shtad loans?
Because I'm the same. Because it's a bigger chiddush for you. It's a bigger chiddush. I don't know what. You want to mechadish hakunz. That I'm going to show that I'm so connected to the. I listen. First of all, listen. Let's first reach that madrega, and we'll talk about V'Haya Hashem Miftachei, the Baruch Hashem Ager Miftachei. And I think if you taka reach the madrega, it's just going to come. I don't know how. I can't tell you. I was like,
You want us to call if it happens?
I know it happens. What do you mean? Kacha. Look, I don't have a job. Who pays me? None of you. How do I live? Why Hashem Miftachei? The Eivisha sense. I don't know. It's modern, but it's taka weird. Huh? No, Chas v'Shalom. I can't. I don't want. I don't have Hashem Miftachei. I trust only the Eivisha. That's it. I'm proof. I'm living proof. This. That's the beginning. Baruch Hashem Miftachei. Exactly. I want me to write this. It works. Exhibit A. I'm just telling you, Azoy you have to have trust. Baruch Hashem Miftachei. Azoy Geitos. V'sabeinu mituvecha. This is the word. The Eivisha get. Because they trust the maftiach. They're trusting the thing itself. They think, oh, this is the right angle, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what's going to make me money. And really, the only source is the makar. The only thing that's connected. It's not the idea. I want to be connected to the makar. You're asking a shayla why I have to do it? I don't know. We can think about it. But this is the Baruch Alein. This is what we're asking for. Baruch Alein Hashem Lakeinu Es Hashana Azois. You can go through the thing, every single prat. It's called Minasavula Toiva. Everything should be Toiva. Everything should be good. It has from the Ramak over here that Svua is the 5 grains, the Tvua, the hay. You can see over there inside. The idea is that the Amshacha should be Nimshach in every single prat in your life, and all the details in your life. Al Pnei Adama. There's also Al Pnei Adama. What do you say Al Pnei Adama? It's a marginal lashon. It's a strange lashon. What is the Pnei Adama? What's the face of the Adama? So there's a Medrash in Medrash Shabbat, in Bereshis and Yigimel, and it says that when the matter comes down, the world actually, the earth, the surface of the earth gains like a face. First it's like hard, then when it's soft, it becomes like a face. But the Pneumius, what we're saying, which is really what we're talking about this whole bracha, is Al Pnei Adama means that I'm in a face-to-face relationship, because there's no intermediaries. So the same bracha Al Pnei Adama means I should be the face. I should be experiencing in this face-to-face. V'sabeinu mituvecha. Because I want to be satiated, because satiation and source is the only place I can gain. Should be a bracha like the good years. There's a lot to talk about, but that the shanim is also the idea of. You can stand at the end of the year. You can mavarach hashanim. It's the shanim means every type of shinoi, every type of change. We should feel connected to the makar, to the achdus, to the one, in all the changes of life, in all the multiplicities of life, and any type of experience that we're having in life. That it should be mavarach hashanim. It should be blessed. We should feel the baruch atah Hashem mavarach hashanim. We should feel in all the shinoim. I think that's. Yeah, this is general. But we started with specific because we're talking about the specific. I think Baruch Hashanah is generally, Sashana Azais, we're talking about this particular thing that we're doing now, right now, in the experience of right now. Baruch Hashanah is a general thing that we're asking, basically, if you want to reduce it into the experience of this, we're asking and we're aligning ourselves with this ask, that we should be in a state of bracha. We should be in a state of blessings, aligned with the Makor HaBracha, with the source of blessing. And when we're aligned with the Makor HaBracha, which is the Ein Soif, we'll always feel the Sabeinu Tevech, we'll always feel saturated, we'll feel complete. We should be in that complete state of abundance and of plenty. And that's Dveikus. That's like the paradoxical nature of this whole statement, is because you're asking for material wealth, that's what you're really saying, but how is the hashpa of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the shefa, ruchni of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, revealed in this world, is dafka through the hashpa gashmias, when there's a spashas. When you see an apple that's not bright red, there's a chesarn in the shefa, right? There's something that the shefa didn't come through. There was an ikuv of the shefa coming through to its correct form. But when you see a beautiful apple and it's bright red, the shefa is shining. Right? When a person says "Marab Masech Hashem," it's not when you see an old decrepit, hill. You go to a luxury, a beautiful mountain that's full of plenty, and you say "Marab Masech Hashem," because here you're seeing the fullness of the boira of Kadosh Baruch Hu, of the shefa in the Gashmias. So Dafka, specifically in the Gashmias, is where you can actually see something that we can't experience this in Ruchnias. In Ruchnias, we don't have that same visceral. Mukhshistik, the Rebbe Rashab once told Bala Isek, someone that does business, that he's jealous of him, that he can see HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'muchish, that he sits and learns the whole day, but he doesn't see b'muchshis, he doesn't see it like in a tangible way. This is where you can see tangibility. We can see like a shpa that's coming down in this world, a shefa that Parnasa is coming out of this world, for us and for everyone, for all the Klal Yisrael, for the whole world. Then we see the Oyer Vein Seif that's being revealed in this world. So that's the Maisa. No, so intermediary. Yeah, for sure. No, but Berfua, up until now, there's a lot of things that we're talking about is more a necessity. This is the bracha for abundance. So we don't have this language that we're talking about. Sabeinu Tuvecha, there should be satiated. It's a bracha for everything should be plenty. The world should be filled with plenty. And this is Gilui Klut. This is the Gilui Shechina in this world. It's very Yosefdik, yeah. But it's the Shevet Zvulun, so it has more with these pashtas. Yes, Hashem Aleichem, yeah. Correct.
And it's a ninth bracha on the sun.
Yeah, but it's not mamish connected. Yes, but you could connect it with that and just say yourself, yeah. Yeah, it's been to side actually. It's good. It's in the spheres according to the Ari. It's netzach. It's netzach of malchus. Because netzach of malchus means that netzach of malchus is that it's penetrating. It's in tzachon of malchus. It's a scabrous of malchus. So that Ari says you have in the yudke vavke. With the yudke vavke, you do it with the chiriks, because chirik is netzach. But the nakuda is that you have to connect to the marker.
Shouldn't also be investing in like crazy risky stuff.
You shouldn't be investing in God.
Okay.
And whatever you do, it's going to come.
Everything else is fine. All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just.
You thought, oh, this is the chap. This is what I'm going to do. I believe a maftiach and a muftach is one thing. That's what I believe in. But I have to live this way. You have to. The shoyers. We have to live. We have to understand.
My question.
We're talking when we know it because we have to like recontextualize, reorient ourselves. What we think, what we daven, we're davening to the koyach of the mashpia.
No, I
Understand? It's not a Hashem with a melech with giving a baggies and we're tapping into the of the world.
Efficiency spending max 3 hours a day at work, because if you look at Sefer Hasidim, old and new,
Yeah.
that's sort of the pinnacle of the breakthrough. That if you're connected to this source, you really don't need more than 1, 2, 3 hours a day to get that done.
That's
So meaning
that's
is-
about my workflow.
Maybe a lot of people in this room. Maybe I'm asking for validation more
Yeah.
than permission. I'm just saying, like,
What does your wife think about it?
it's nothing to do with it. I totally share all these ways that it's totally separate. I'm saying I find ways to be busy, but is that the definition of it, where it allows you to do those other things that make you real?
By that, I don't think it's this is a very important Torah of Baal Shem. You have to understand. It's very important because, unfortunately, we actually spoke about this once. It's a Baal Shem's Torah that got lost, which is B'chol Dechecha De'ehu. The Baal Shem meant it very, very seriously. You look in Torah of Baal Shem, you look in the Toldus, look in the Degel. The Baal Shem writes, and this is what Torah Lishma. What's Torah Lishma according to Torah of Baal Shem? Torah Lishma is L'Shem Dveikus, right? Torah Lishma according to Nefesh HaChaim is that you should understand it better. Torah Lishma according to the Baal Shem is L'Shem Dveikus. Baal Shem says a person can daven Kadosh Baruch Hu be'esek, be'tefillah, or be'torah. Depends how your life is set up into what. I told you there's a story. It's a shtickle harsh story. So I'm not going to say who the Rebbes were, but there were two big Rebbes. There was a famous chassid. This is the Amidah Magid, two Amidah Magids. There was a famous chassid from one Rebbe came to the other Rebbe, and the other Rebbe told him that I see that you're a huge Talmud. He chazed over his Torah that he said. He's a huge Talmud. He said you're wasting your time sitting in business. Okay, so he's makabel. They went back to his Rebbe, and his Rebbe said that Kinir, the Rebbe that told you this advice, doesn't understand Shlosh HaNeshama. Doesn't understand, because your Shlosh HaNeshama is not to do that.
I thought you were going to say it doesn't understand business.
He said it's not connected. It could be the same idea. He says he's not connected to Shlosh HaNeshama, and he said he shouldn't give advice to people, by the way. He was very upset. He says, because this Eids, he said, your Shlosh HaNeshama is dafka to Esek. And you came down to this world to be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim, to do what you have to do in Asik. And that's how you're going to reach the same level of Vegas. If the main thing is, you have to think about it. What is the main thing of this world? Is the main thing is to gain knowledge or to connect to Hashem? If the main thing is to connect to Hashem, whatever Hashem wants for you to be connected to. If Hashem wants the person to be connected to davening, it's davening. When we daven. When you learn, you learn. And if you're doing Asik, you're doing the same thing. The kuda is the dveikus, is the connectivity. And it's kind of interesting that really lost traction by the fourth generation of Chassidim. People stopped talking like this. The one that resurfaced a little bit this Torah is the Sfas Emes. You can find the Sfas Emes re-bringing this Torah, and also the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Rebbe brought this back. And he quotes straight from the Baal Shem. And you see that even when he quotes, he doesn't quote from the Alter Rebbe, from the Tanya, he goes straight, Baal Shem. Because this is if you really want to understand the Or, let's go a little bit more Boimic. The Or Torah Chassidus is the Torah Shel Mashiach. Torah Shel Mashiach is not process, because process is Golus, right? Torah Mashiach is Achdus. In Achdus is no process. You're following? When there's a Gila of Torah Achdus, then there's no means. Everything is an end.
The process is duality, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Process is duality. Process is Golus. The moment there's a Gila of Achdus, there is no duality. So if there's no duality, so if there's a Gila of Achdus, whatever you're doing, you're Achdus. And you have to live with this way very strongly. I think, by the way, I think that the Torah Baal Shem was 300 years too early. People didn't understand what he wanted to bring into this world, and now I think now we have the Kalim. By the way, because we live in a non-process oriented reality, we have an instantaneous reality. It's allowing us to have a glimpse of what it means non-process, right? It's actually with technology, and by the way, this is what's going on with kids. You can't speak to kids today, 19 years old, about processes. They don't want to hear processes. Everything's instantaneous. It's automated. Everything's direct. So there has to be a spiritual counterpart. Not only has to be a spiritual counterpart. You can argue, which we'll argue, is that the Baal Shem Tov actually created that world. In other words, it's a Mashiach reality that was created on a ruchnistic level, that was revealed in Torah Baal Shem, that eventually became revealed in science, right? Obviously, that's has to work that way. Which means it's not that it's coming afterwards, it actually predates it. If it predates it, it anticipated it. The Baal Shem Tov anticipated a modern world. That's the Torah Chassidus is a response to modernity, a Mashiach response to modernity. The Mashiach response to modernity, and if we can tell kids today, 19-year-old kids, that you don't have to become an oivid like a Nissan to get to Madregas. You don't have to sit in front. I had to say that it was all Moshe. It was a big Taka Yid Tzadik, a Tzadik Mamish. I mean, a Dohaibani, the real big Dohaibani Yid. He's the only chassid that the Rebbe ever wrote about Tzadik on him. The only chassid, not Nissan, not only him. He was a mamish, either Baal Ruach HaKodesh, very like one of the hill, like a very big person. Someone's asked him when he was very old. He used to sit down for like 7-8 hours a day. You know, he used to sit there, big dvekas. He asked him, "Moshe, how did you get to such madregas?" So he said, "20 Jahre Samach Vav." He learned Samach Vav. 20 Jahre is Skafia. 20 Jahre is Hapcha, und danach gar nicht. You understand? So after 60 years of Horoving, this person, the Horovet, this guy was a huge, the only thing it says on his cave is Ovid Hashem. That he was a huge Ovid. And by the end he said, he felt, he had initially recht. That was taka a certain model. You have to break and work and Horovet. And today that generation, it doesn't talk to anyone. It talks to, there's a few Yechidim that can still do this. But really the oil of the Torah Baal Shem is switch the light. Switch the light. You tell any kid that's waving in a different direction, you tell them that all the ruchnis that you look for, anything that you really, any depth that you want to experience, you can experience instantaneously. It's exciting. It's much more interesting than they'll say, okay, you're going to have to now sit and learn for 30 years and go through Shas and Poskim, and then learn Kabbalah when you're 40, and then finally, okay, I'd rather go into Manhattan to a bar. But if I can tell you that you can get everything right now, accessibility, instantaneous, just like a click of a mouse, this is Torah Mashiach. And Torah Mashiach, that's how it works also with Parnasa. You understand? Maybe it was a Gila that was not yet able to be assimilated in the world, so all of a sudden it became process again. Okay, so process of Talmud Torah can egg cool. There's no question that a person's Isaac Talmud Torah, in terms of process, he's a much higher madrega than a person that's Isaac in physical labor. But if you're talking about the Nekuda, the Achdus, what's a chiluk? It's Tveikas. Tveikas is Achdus. So this is Torah Baal Shem. Anyway, so that's why you have to get off that model. So there's a lot of things that we have to switch in our head. I did not. That was not the.
It clears up space.
It's also relate back to the cards is like the Heishiv Mishnah Gematria Parnasa, because as opposed to Gemara, which is all the harder thing, all the work, Mishnah has it all in there.
Okay, it's a good word. Yeah.
What are you supposed to do with the shefa? Where do you have the shefa?
Mutual
abundance.
You live abundantly. What do you mean?
Live abundantly.
Yeah.
Has to add that question.
That means you didn't. Yeah. What do you mean? You live with you're a generator of shefa.
Yeah.
Being a Mashkiach.
Yeah.
Means having a schwitz.
Also, if that's what you want, whatever, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, come on. Glasses, yeah.
Exactly. Bli einus, there's no forcing.
No.